Alaikum everyone. My name is Huzaifah Ahmed and I'm from Rehan School, Korangi campus. Today, the topic of discussion with ChatGPT is about how to set boundaries in relationships and stay true to yourself. So, let's get started. Hey ChatGPT, today the topic of discussion with you is going to be how to set boundaries in relationships and stay true to yourself.
That sounds like a really powerful topic. There's so much to unpack, like how to recognize your own needs, communicate them clearly, and handle pushback. Do you have a certain angle or structure in mind for the video? Or would you like some suggestions on how to lay it out?
I'll get some suggestions with you afterwards, but first tell me what exactly are boundaries in relationships? Are they about building walls or something a bit more nuanced that we don't know about yet?
Ooh, that's a great question. Boundaries definitely aren't about building walls to keep people out. It's more about defining what's okay and what's not for you. So it's a form of self respect, really. It's knowing your values, your limits, and communicating them calmly. And when you do that, you actually stay truer to yourself and build healthier relationships in the process.
Alright, why do so many people struggle to set boundaries even when they know they desperately need them?
Yeah, that's really common. A lot of times it comes down to a fear of conflict or a worry about disappointing others. Sometimes people don't even realize that they're people pleasing until they're really stretched thin. And of course, it can be really uncomfortable at first. It's a skill that takes practice and a lot of self awareness.
What does psychology say about how a lack of boundaries affects self worth, mental health, and relationship quality?
Exactly. So when we don't set boundaries, it often erodes our sense of self worth. We might start feeling resentful or overwhelmed, like our needs don't matter. And over time, that can really chip away at how we value ourselves. But once we start setting those boundaries, we reinforce that we matter, which in turn boosts our self worth and overall well being.
Now tell me what's the basic difference between a healthy boundary and being a selfish, cold, or emotionally unavailable person?
That's a really important distinction. A healthy boundary is about protecting your peace and your values, but it still leaves room for connection and empathy. Being selfish or cold, on the other hand, is more about shutting people out without care. It's kind of a passive aggression or avoidance. So, healthy boundaries come from a place of clarity and self respect, not from a place of isolation or disconnection.
Now, how do cultural expectations, upbringings, and family dynamics make boundary setting harder for some people than the others?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in some cultures or families, there's this huge emphasis on duty, sacrifice, or always putting the group first. So when someone tries to set a boundary, it can feel like they're being disloyal or even selfish. And sometimes people don't even have the language or the permission to say no. So it takes a lot of reflection and honestly, sometimes a bit of bravery to break out of those patterns.
Okay, what's the difference between setting a boundary and issuing an ultimatum? Was that a line?
Yeah, that's a really subtle but important difference. A boundary is more about you. It's a personal standard you set regardless of how others react. An ultimatum, though, is more like a demand. If you don't do this, I'll leave or I'll stop something. Ultimatums can put a lot of pressure on the other person, whereas boundaries focus on what you will or won't tolerate for your own well being.
How do you communicate a boundary clearly and respectfully without damaging the relationship?
Yeah, the key is really in the tone and the intention. You can start by using I statements like, I need some space when I'm feeling overwhelmed, so it doesn't sound like blame. Be specific about what you need and also reassure them that you care about the relationship. And then just give them time and space to respond. So it's a conversation, not a confrontation.
What happens when someone repeatedly violates your boundaries? How do you respond without guilt or conflict?
That's really tough. And it's so important to remember that your feelings are valid. If someone repeatedly crosses those boundaries, you might need to reassess the relationship, whether that's taking a step back, limiting contact, or even ending the relationship if it's really harmful. And the key is grounding yourself in the fact that you have a right to protect your well being. No guilt, no shame, just self respect.
How do boundaries apply differently across relationships? I'm talking about families, friendships, romantic partners, and colleagues.
Yeah, that's a great point. So boundaries definitely look different depending on the type of relationship. In a family, they might be more about emotional space or expectations. In friendships, it might be about time or energy. Romantic partners often involve more intimacy or personal needs. And with colleagues, it's often about work life balance or communication styles. So the core idea is the same, but the specifics shift depending on the dynamic.
Now, what's the connection between knowing your own values and being able to set and maintain strong boundaries?
Yeah, they're really intertwined. When you know your core values, like what matters most to you, it's easier to identify when something doesn't align. So your boundaries become a reflection of those values. They're kind of a way of protecting what you hold dear. And when you're clear on that, you can stay steady even when outside pressures try to pull you off track.
Now, lastly, what's one boundary someone can identify and communicate today to start staying truer to themselves?
I'd say a simple one is something like setting a time boundary. For example, if you constantly feel overwhelmed by answering work emails late at night, you could decide, I won't respond after 7 p.m. Then communicate that clearly. And once you do, stick to it. It's a small step, but it starts reinforcing your sense of self and shows you respect your own time.
All right, everyone, this was the end of my discussion with ChatGPT for today. I hope you liked it. Until the next one, Allah Hafiz.